Welcome back to Character Conversions, where I try to bring fictional characters to life in D&D. Today we're doing a bit more of an obscure character, at least in my circles, the bastard magic instructor himself, Glenn Radars. For stats, we'll be using the standard array as per usual. Strength will be 10, we aren't too stocky but still fit. Dexterity will be 15, we are very spry. Constitution will be 12, slightly above average, will help us take a beating. Intelligence will be 13, while we can use magic, we're not necessarily the most proficient with it. Wisdom will be 14, while we aren't the best with magic, our keen insight allows us to tailor lessons to our pupils and help them excel. Charisma will be 8, people tend not to like us at first. It's our actions that win people over, not our words. Moving on to race, Glenn is human, so we'll be going with variant human. We will increase our dexterity and intelligence by 1 each, raising them to 16 and 14 respectively. For our skill, we will go with Perception, and for our feat, we will go with Magic Initiate, granting us 2 cantrips and a first level spell we can cast once per day. This will allow us to choose a non-caster class and represent how, while we attended a magic academy, we aren't the best student. For our spells, I'm going to choose Cleric. First cantrip will be Guidance, representing our effective teaching methods. Our second cantrip will be Sacred Flame. We need an attack cantrip, and unfortunately Shock Bolt from the show is just not a thing, so this is our placeholder. And for our first level spell, we will go with Shield of Faith for some added defense, and symbolically a good representation of how Glenn Radars wanted to be a mage of justice. For background, we're going to go with Hermit. After leaving the Imperial Court Mage Corps, he retreated from society and basically never left the house of his adopted mother. For skills, this grants us medicine and religion, and we gain proficiency with the herbalism kit. We gain 1 language of our choice. I'll go with Draconic, as it's often considered a language of magic. Our feature is Discovery. In the source, Glenn discovered how you could change a spell's incantation and how it would affect the spell every time. The closest representation of that in D&D would probably be meta magic from sorcerers. I don't know how you could translate this into D&D perfectly, but work something out with your GM. Now for class, we're starting out with Monk. Glenn is a master of Imperial Martial Arts, so this is our best representation. Monk gives us a D8 hit die, proficiency with strength and dexterity saves, and for skills we will choose acrobatics and insight. At first level we gain unarmored defense, now calculating our AC with a dexterity and wisdom modifier. No need for mage armor now, besides Glenn never seemed to protect himself with magic in that way it seems. Finally we gain martial arts, allowing us to make unarmed strikes with dexterity and make our damage 1d4. At second level we gain access to our key, unlocking Flurry of Blows, Patient Defense, and Step of the Wind. We also gain unarmored movement, increasing our movement speed by 10 feet while not wearing armor or wielding a shield. At third level, we choose our monastic tradition. We're going to go with Way of the Kensei. We choose a melee weapon and a ranged weapon. They can be anything that lacks the heavy and special properties. For our ranged weapon, we're going to go with a pepper box. Glenn's preferred sidearm is a revolver named Penetrator. For the melee weapon, you can go with anything that fits your campaign. I'll choose Whip for now. Next we gain Agile Parry. Now when we make an unarmed strike as part of the attack action and are holding our Kensei weapon, we gain a +2 bonus to our AC until the start of our next turn. Kensei Shot allows us to, as a bonus action, increase the damage of a ranged Kensei weapon by 1d4 until the end of our turn. Good representation of how the Penetrator is infused with magic. Way of the Brush gives us proficiency with either Calligrapher's Supplies or Painter's Supplies. I will choose Calligrapher's Supplies to represent his skill at negating magical glyphs with his own writing. And finally, we gain Deflect Missiles, allowing us to, as a reaction, reduce the damage of a ranged weapon attack by 1d10 plus our Dexterity modifier. At 4th level, we gain an ability score improvement, but we're going to trade it for a feat. We shall go with Mage Slayer. We were once known as the Mage Assassin after all. Now when a creature within 5 feet of us casts a spell, we can use our reaction to make a melee attack against that creature. When we damage a creature concentrating on a spell, that creature has disadvantage on its concentration check, and finally, we have advantage on saves against spells cast by creatures within 5 feet of us. At 5th level, we now switch over to Wizard. This gives us a d6 hit die, 3 cantrips, 6 first level spells, and Arcane Recovery, which will allow us to regain a spell slot of up to half our Wizard level, rounded up, once per day during a short rest. For cantrips, we will go with Blade Ward, Shocking Grasp, and Lightning Lure. Our first level spells will be Absorb Elements, Alarm, Protection from Evil and Good, Snare, Long Strider, and Shield. The amount of defensive magic we have should key you in on where we're going with this. At 6th level, our 2nd level in Wizard, we choose our Arcane Tradition. This will be the School of Abjuration. Abjuration Savant will half the time and gold required for us to copy Abjuration spells into our spellbook. Next we gain Arcane Ward, one of my favorite abilities. Now when we cast an abjuration spell of first level or higher, we essentially create a pool of temporary hit points equal to 2 times our wizard level, plus our intelligence modifier. That lasts until we finish a long rest. Whenever we cast an abjuration spell of first level or higher, the ward regains hit points equal to 2 times the level of the spell. Right now it may only be an additional 4 hit points, but we can replenish it each time we cast a spell like Shield, so it will help us while we are in melee duking it out with mages. Finally, we gain another 2 first level spells, of which we will choose Featherfall and Jump. As you've probably guessed, our spell selection is more about boosting and protecting ourselves rather than directly damaging our opponents. Moving on to 7th level, we have now gained 2nd level spells and gained 2 spells of our choice. Blur will give a creature that relies on sight disadvantage to attack us, and Magic Weapon will give us a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls, plus make the damage count as magical for overcoming resistances. It may be debatable if your GM will allow you to cast a spell on your fist, but if not, you have your Kensei weapons. At 8th level, we gain an additional ability score improvement. We'll put it in our dexterity, increasing it to 18. We also gain an additional cantrip. We'll pick up Firebolt. And we gain an additional 2 2nd level spells, of which we will choose Enhance Ability and Spider Climb. 9th level grants us 3rd level spells. We're going to go with the iconic abjuration spells of choice, Counterspell and Dispel Magic, making us even better at shutting down enemy mages, but Counterspell will compete with Mage Slayer for our reaction. Moving on to 10th level, our 6th level of being an Abjurer grants us Projected Ward. Now when a creature we can see within 30 feet of us takes damage, we can use our reaction to cause our Arcane Ward to absorb that damage, so we can give our allies a 14 hit point cushion against any major hits. We gain an additional 2 3rd level spells, of which we will choose Non-Detection and Protection from Energy. At 11th level, we gain 4th level spell slots. For our first 2 4th level spells, we will choose Banishment and Stone Skin. Banishment is just a nice spell to have in our back pocket, and Stone Skin will help us while in melee. At 12th level, we gain another ability score improvement. We will increase our dexterity again, capping it off at 20. We also gain an additional 2 4th level spells. For this we will choose Odalu's Resilient Sphere, good spell for capture or self-protection. Finally, we will drop back to 3rd level and pick up Lightning Bolt. In my opinion, this is the best spell to represent Glenn's use of the Extinction Ray spell. Now, I think this is where Glenn's wizard levels should stop, at least in my opinion, or maybe the next level where he gains 5th level spells. I'd homebrew his signature spell, the Fool's World, and continue on in Monk, but for the sake of leaving out homebrew to maximize the usefulness of this guide, I'll continue on into Wizard. At 13th level, we gain our 5th level spells. First we will choose Planner Binding, which according to the list I'm looking at is the only 5th level abjuration spell. Pity. I have no specific recommendations for the final spell, so I'll go with Wall of Force. At 14th level, our 10th level as an Abjurer, we gain Improved Abjuration. Now when we cast an Abjuration spell that requires us to make an ability check, such as Counterspell or Dispel Magic, we add our proficiency bonus to the ability check. This definitely helps pad out our lower intelligence modifier. At 15th level, we gain our first 6th level spells, and unlike last level, we have 2 Abjuration spells to take. We will be going with Guards and Wards and Globe of Invulnerability. 16th level grants us an additional ability score improvement. This time we will increase our intelligence to 16, increasing our spellcasting abilities. Finally, we gain an additional 2 6th level spells. I will choose Contingency, a nice spell to have as its effects last for 10 days. And for our last spell this level, I think a good choice could be either Chain Lightning or Sunbeam. I'll go with Chain Lightning. 17th level grants us 7th level spells. But once again we have only 1 abjuration spell to choose, so we'll be taking Symbol, and our second choice will be Force Gauge. Very good choice for removing a few combatants. At 18th level, our 14th level as an Abjurer grants us Spell Resistance. We now have advantage on saving throws against all spells, not just those cast within 5 feet of us, and we have resistance against the damage of spells. We gain an additional 2 7th level spells. Choose whatever is best for your campaign. For myself, I'm going to boost some damage output and take Delayed Blast, Fireball, and Finger of Death. 19th level, we gain access to our 8th level spells, and the most important spell of our build, Anti-Magic Field. Glenn's own custom spell is known as Fool's World. It negates magic in an area around him, where he then overpowers enemy mages using his martial arts ability. Now Anti-Magic Field is more powerful than Fool's World, but it is the best representation. For our final 8th level spell, we will go with Mind Blank, the only other 8th level abjuration spell. At 20th level, now that we have Anti-Magic Field, we'll jump back over to Monk. This increases our martial arts die to a d6, we gain an extra attack, allowing us to make 2 attacks when we take the attack action, and finally we gain Stunning Strike, allowing us to spend a key point to force a target who we have hit with an unarmed strike to make a Constitution save, or be stunned until the end of their next turn. very effective for cutting off the mage's concentration. Final results are an average of 96 hit points, but our Arcane Ward will give us an additional 33 replenishable hit points. Our damage averages out from 8 points with our fist to 10 points with the pepper box. Double for each of those with extra attack, and with Flurry of Blows we can make it to 32 damage unarmed or 40 damage with the pepper box. Our main strategy is to get into melee with enemy casters and completely disable them. We'll be very big team players, shutting down casters while being backed up by our allies, or keeping the casters focused on us while our allies focus on other enemies. If you expect to get to 19th level, where you can start using Anti-Magic Field, you may want to trade another ability improvement for Sentinel so you can keep enemy casters within that field. The major weakness of this build, I see, is being very reaction and concentration oriented. You have to carefully pick and choose what you're going to use and when, so be sure to think ahead. Thanks for watching, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more character conversions, and go ahead and drop a comment about what kind of fool this character would be in your world.